Oh boy. Oh. So we were on the Disney Cruise Line way back in the day, and it was me, my immediate family, so that includes my mother, my father, my brother, and my sister. My sister's brother-in-law's wife. Think about that for a moment. They were there. Her and his family were there. And then my grandparents on my mother's side were there. And so the quick math would say there were 12 of us on that trip. And that quick math is correct. So what happens is we're on the Disney Cruise Line, but we're young. So to be quite frank, there's not a ton I remember because I was such an adolescent at that time. But I do remember one specific thing is during the day while the adults got to do their own thing, they got to go explore the islands without kids, right? Who wants to go on a cruise and keep up with the kids?
Right, nobody.
Correct. And so the nice thing about Disney is they have programming. Let me be clear. The nice thing for parents about Disney is that they have programming. But as a child, you look up to your parents. You're like, we want what we can't have. That's just human nature.
Right.
And so we desire the things that we don't get to accomplish. Henceforth passion, henceforth pursuit. Well, we were part of the kids programming, and one distinct memory I have of the kids programming, I believe we were in the Bahamas. And kids, how kids like dinosaurs, dinos as some people call them.
Some people like them.
Extraterrestrials as others call them. Well, one of the programs for Disney Kids is Discover the Dino. And so they take you off the boat, and you follow the leaders, right? We follow the leaders. They just weren't our parents. They were employed by Disney World, or Disney, my apologies, Disney World. And we get into the sandbox and think elementary playground sand. You know how there's slides everywhere and there's sand on the bottom? Nowadays, I believe it's rubber mulch. Mm-hmm. But back in our day, it was sand. I mean, you got sand in your nooks and crannies, and every jot and tittle was covered with them, and you just didn't know what to do. It took hours and hours. Well, the sandbox, as we'll call it, was promoted as Discovering the Dino. Yet they didn't say what kind of dino we were going to discover, because to be quite frank, they sculpted it as in we don't know what dino. We just heard from the locals that there could be excavation for a dinosaur that was here in the very old times, in the old age, and we're going to go look for it. So you have a pod of kids thinking they are excavating sand to find the fossils of a dinosaur. So a bunch of toddler archaeologists, if you will. You know what that makes you feel like?
Probably like Indiana Jones,
Correct.
Like a real explorer.
Correct. And so I remember on my hands and knees, they gave us a shovel. And so I was on my knees, I was scooping, and I hit something.
Treasure.
And yeah, it was a treasure chest, because my next move was, hey guys, look what I found. And lo and behold, it was a fossil. It was a bone.
Wow.
Well, now, if we know anything about dinosaurs, we know that they have more than one bone in their body. So what's the next move? Well, we got to put these dinos together. We gotta discover the dino as Disney. Discover the dino at Disney. If that's not a thing, I believe we should sell that idea to Disney. But it is a thing because I experienced it. So, well, actually, they probably stopped that because of COVID. And it's the Bahamas, so who knows what's going on there. But anyway, you had, a pot of 100 children just on their hands and knees in the sand, playing with one another, thinking that they are discovering a dinosaur for the first time and making a groundbreaking discovery. Much to my surprise, we put the dino together. I believe it was a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And what better place for the Tyrannosaurus Rex to be in than in the Bahamas?
Right.
It adds up how it was buried in sand and we were the first to excavate it. So I would recommend a Disney cruise. Disney is not paying us to say this, but I haven't been on many cruises. I'll say that much. And my grandparents are going on one here. They just left. But I will say the all-you-can-eat is a hard thing to beat. Unlimited crepes. And it begs the question, Brett. It does beg it. If you were on a cruise and you went to the crepe stand and you had to order, got to order one of the most gigantic, perfect crepes ever, what 4 toppings would you put on it? But there is a caveat. There are 5 toppings on this crepe. And the 5th topping is a fixed topping. And it's going to be locust.
So do you want me to tell you like the crepe that I would order, and then you're just going to ruin it by saying, oh, there's a locust on top? I thought you were going to say like a real food that I could try to compliment, like something weird, like, but the 5th one has to be bacon. So try to find something that's going to, work with bacon. But when you say locust, you're like, I'm just going to say any 4 things, and locust is just the nasty thing on top.
It's going to be baked in, right? But I was going to say you got to compliment the locust. But if we wanted to do something more manageable, we could do bacones.
Here's what I would say. And I was going to say this originally, and I am going to kind of stick with that because I think bacon could work in it. I am a big strawberry, banana, Nutella with whipped cream on top. It's a total 4th grade move to just go and get the absolute sweetest crepe of all time. But I don't think crepes should be savory. I think if you want something savory, get a bagel, get a quiche. That's not what crepes are for. Crepes are for delicious, sugary things to be inside. So I would say, would you consider whipped cream to be one of the 4? Because I would say banana, strawberry, Nutella. I mean, whipped cream kind of goes on all of them. So if whipped cream counts, I would stop there. But if it doesn't, I would say maybe a little peanut butter, because peanut butter and bacon goes well together.
Yeah, I'd say use the peanut butter.
Yeah.
I just thought that'd be a fun exercise.
Yeah, the locust was really, oh man, that was it kind of ruined it, I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm just saying
you never
there's
had
really
a locust?
nothing. No, I've never eaten a locust before.
Whew, you've got to try one, man.
You've eaten one?
Yeah, I mean it was cooked. I didn't just
in
go
Israel?
grab a locust.
Is that where you had it?
No, I actually think I had it at Disney World. They sell it in their gift shop.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gross, dude.
That's a classic 12th grade SGA, Student Government Association field trip. Hey, I triple dog dare you.
Right.
I triple dog dare you to spend $15 on one locust at the Disney World gift shop and then eat it.
There's like 2 chicks watching, dude. You've got to eat that
You
locust.
gotta eat the locust right now.
You're gonna
you
be
gotta
like,
impress
so
them.
Cool.
Hey girls, what do you think about my locust?
Like, oh my gosh, this dude freaking shut up already.
This is the 4th guy to ask us about his locust.
Yeah. So your parents on this cruise, you're telling me they just left? You're telling me they had all you can eat, who knows, probably all you can drink. In the Bahamas, anything's legal. And they're leaving their kids in the hands of Disney, what do they call them, cast members?
No. Yeah, probably. Here's the thing. Parents these days, they're a little too helicoptery. No offense. I mean, but relative to our day and even my parents' day when they were kids, I mean, you just let them roam the free world. And I'll give it to the parents of these days. There are lots more unsafe places where you would think they were actually safe. So I do believe the more protective, it's probably good that they become more protective. And I'm certain the isolation was a part of that, with everybody being isolated for a year. These kids, they probably got used to learned behavior. But yeah, you relinquish the control of your kids and you trust the hands of the Disney cast members. Figuratively speaking, metaphorically. Though I do hope physically you trust their hands.
Yeah, you're leaving your kids with them.
But
I
I'm
just
not
feel
saying,
like knowing the history of Disney and like what they were founded on and everything like that is just, I mean, Disney isn't the organization I would leave my kids with. Like, I would leave Stetson with...
Expound on that, because I'm not too certain your beliefs.
I would leave Stetson with the folks working at Checkers drive-thru before I left him with Disney cast members. You know what I mean?
But that's what I was saying. I actually don't know what you mean. So if you don't mind sharing what you mean, that'd be helpful.
I mean, this could take the rest of the podcast, honestly, but
and that's okay.
It's all interconnected. I'll start by saying that there's a man by the name of Werner von Braun. He was a Nazi scientist in World War II. After the war, we brought him over to America to basically power our NASA and space missions. So he became a huge leader in NASA. Operation Paperclip, go look it up. That's where we brought him over. Him and Walt Disney were best of friends. So just knowing that Disney was kind of founded, knowing that his best friend was, did some pretty terrible things to people over, in Germany, and also kind of knowing that, maybe some of these people have a proclivity for younger folks. I'll say it that way. Maybe they're minor attracted persons. That's what I mean by it. It seems like it's all kind of interconnected there, and we see more and more of these cast members are kind of taking advantage of the situations that they're put in. They're given a lot of freedom. They're given a lot of liberties. As obviously they're toting kids around on islands digging up dinosaur bones, but seems like you made it out okay, which is a miracle. But yeah, that's my thinking behind it. So,
and I thank you for sharing that. Number one, I believe you. Do you have some beliefs on the undergrounds of Disney? I didn't know if you shared that before or if I'm just thinking things.
I mean, it's not really a belief. I mean, it's proven fact that there's tunnels underneath Disney where some folks call them our rat overlords, but where essentially the rat overlords, they go down there and, oh, my kid, he went missing for a few minutes. And then the kid's like, yeah, I was down there with Mickey down in the tunnels. They're like, what tunnels? He's like, yeah, he enticed me with a Dole Whip over to this, storm drain, like freaking Pennywise. Yeah, essentially. So go look it up. There's a lot of accounts of that, and it's really pretty freaky. But
hey, kid, you want a Dole Whip?
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, and we hope those kids are okay. I mean, I cannot. Brett seems to be confident that is happening. I'm a little more, one could say, reserved in my confidence about that, but it seems as if it may be happening, and that would be sad. Very, very sad. And, Disney is an interesting place because we talk a lot about Disney, and we talk about the idea of Disney adults. Disney adults, there's recently been some documentaries made on them. I would be curious to hear what you think about this idea of Disney adults. And first, I think we need to define a Disney adult. And I'm thinking Disney adults are those who go to Disney World for their own pleasure, and those who have an obsession with Mickey Mouse, and those who might even wear earlobes on their head of Mickey or Minnie's Mouse. I didn't know if you had any thoughts that you wanted to share.
I mean, I can, like I said before, I could probably go on for the remainder of the podcast about this, but I feel like there's a few different groups, right? We've got some friends that they don't have the annual pass, but they've got kind of the step below that where you can go like during the week, like on a weekday, and it's that kind of pass. So it's cheaper. It's cheaper for Florida residents, but they can still kind of go. That's not, I mean, I'm not going to dog them for that, but because I don't think they wear the earlobes and have the tiny little backpacks that have Mickey on them. But you see some of those people around, and whenever we went, we were walking around the park, and I was like, some of these people are crazy, dude. Like, if you're there with your kids, whatever, you're there, you're there to have fun with your kids, right? Keep a close watch on them for sure. Don't let them out of your sight.
Not the rat lords.
Yeah, the rat overlords. But yeah, the people, there's some folks like in their 40s, no kids, maybe or maybe not overweight, and they are riding around on the little rascals, and they're just having the time of their lives. Not saying you can't have the time of your life. The park is geared towards children, right? I mean, that's the point, is to inspire imagination and creativity in these kids. But it's like all they do is Disney focused. There's a comedian, Tim Dillon, who does this hilarious bit about Disney adults. And he talks about his psychotic friends that they don't leave their house unless it has something to do with Disney. Like they go on the Disney cruises, Disney planes fly them to Florida to go to the Disney parks, and they stay at the hotels and everything else. So it's pretty funny. But there's also these folks called these 3 or 4 girls. They're called the plus sized park hoppers. Have you ever heard of these gals?
I haven't.
Oh, have you really not?
No, tell me about them.
So these are 4 women, ladies, we'll call them. And they go around to different restaurants within Disney, and they rate the restaurants, they review the food, but before they do that, they tell you. I don't know what you're laughing about. They see if they can fit in the booths, in the queue, waiting to order. And so they're kind of like taking these vlog type videos, and they're like, we tried to sit in the back, but all the booths we didn't fit in. So we had to go sit at the picnic tables. I had the Caesar salad and the strawberry milkshake and the double cheeseburger. They were kind of good. So it's a niche market, honestly. They're super successful. So, good on them for that. But the premise of it is, I don't know. I don't want to say funny, but clearly when we said that the first thing that they rate is if they could fit, because all of them are kind of different sizes, right? They're all kind of progressively bigger, one after the other. So one slides in the booth. Oh, I can fit. The next one slides in. They're like, oh, it's a little tight. Next one slides in, and it's like real tough. And the fourth one's like, I'm not even gonna try. So, but look, they're serving a community, and I think they get a lot of views. So they're probably making a bunch of money on this stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Disney is sponsoring them and paying for their tickets and meals at this point, because they're pretty popular. So, but those are my girls. I love them.
Yes, Queen.
Yeah.
That's powerful information. And you mentioned the mission of Disney is to create and inspire. And I wanted to share with our listeners what Disney's mission statement in full is, and we can kind of analyze it and discuss it a little bit. It says here that Disney's mission is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. Their vision, Disney, is to be one of the world's leading producers and providers of entertainment and information.
Keyword information.
So right off the bat, Disney's mission, it has 4 parts. Entertainment, information, inspiration as the first part. Reaching the globe as the second part. Third is unparalleled and premier status, so that of excellence, or I guess it depends on how you define excellence. We can talk about that. And fourth, storytelling, branding, creativity, and innovative technologies. Now to me, and you didn't ask, but I'll share, that seems like too broad of a mission statement. And I think
I was going to say, it sounds like Chat GPT wrote it, is what it sounds like.
It could be very possible. It's not as if Disney has these copywriters or anything. But I will say, I think it fleshes itself out in that it is too broad, because when we look at this world of now Disney Plus and Disney acquiring these action movies, and I'm not even studied up on action movies, but I have friends who share what everybody's sharing about action movies, like the Avengers, like Marvel. Well, what they're saying is Marvel movies are now not good because Disney's trying to produce way too much and do way too much. And I think Disney World could learn a lesson in simplifying. Because, well, this is Disney as a whole, not Disney World. But I do believe there's a reason that these adult Disney people keep coming back, is because Disney does Disney World incredibly. They think through things strategically. Not saying that they don't with their Disney Plus realm, But I will say Disney World seems to be way more successful than that of Disney Plus. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is maybe it's time for Disney to simplify, because when you simplify, you can take care of things like that of the rat overlords underneath your ground. And I think, again, with their vision to be one of the world's leading producers and providers of entertainment and information, well, I think their vision is accomplished. But the question and the realization is that it's extremely easy to accomplish a vision when you compromise on your values. And I think that's what Disney has done.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, little values they started out with, I think they're definitely compromised by now. I saw this story. It was probably a year and a half ago now, but they're trying to get into real estate development as well. So they're building subdivisions that are totally centered around Disney everything. So, like, the community that I live in, we've got there's a restaurant, there's a pool, things like that. But just imagine everything has like a Disney logo on it. So you essentially live at the theme park, and with all these remote jobs, it's, you could live at Disney World now. So it's pretty crazy. Whenever, I don't use the word overlord lightly, but they bought ESPN, they're buying up news networks, and, they're buying up a lot of land all across Florida. And before too long, I'm afraid, truthfully, overlord will be an understatement. That's what I fear.
Yeah, and there's two parts here, is when we look at, like you said, ESPN. When we look at ESPN before Disney acquired it versus after, before, it was much better. It was great sports, great recaps. But now, and I'm not usually this kind of person, but I will say I've been watching ESPN, and I love watching ESPN throughout my childhood. But now there are politics involved in the sports. And this is just me, but I desire, when I'm watching sports, to not be thinking about politics. Number one. And number two, I'm the least political person in the history of politics. And that's my desire for my life. Now, back to the original point, when you talked about overlord, I agree with you. And I think it's a lesson and look into the unfulfillment of things. The theory of things, if you'll allow me to call it that, is the more things we have, the more things we want. The more things we want, the more we compromise on, the more we get. And I think we see that with Disney, is we want to be the world's leading producers and providers of entertainment and information. Well, to do that, we have to acquire blank, blank, and blank. And that's not good enough for me, so I need to do blank, blank, and blank. Well, if history tells us anything, when they start their real estate development company, what's going to happen? It's not going to be satisfying, because what they're investing into is not fulfilling. And I think it's a good check on your own life, the listener, is what you're investing in, whether that be actual investments, whether that be food, whether that be a particular relationship with yourself or with others. I'm not saying those are bad things, but I do think, just like Disney, is that it's not fulfilling. And why do you think we keep going after it? Why do you think we keep being unsatisfied? Is because this idea of unfulfillment. Everybody's on the search for something. And that's a powerful quote. And if you can unlock that something in somebody, then you can show them what they need to search for. I hate to get all philosophical, but we are talking about things.
Now that's a quote. You can put that on a shirt. My mind's in pretzels, honestly, after that, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners are intelligent enough to follow along. But yeah, that's kind of where I was left after that.
Yeah, just take a moment to soak it in. Perhaps take a trip to Utah to the mountains there are great.
Yes, they are. You just stand there and look at those Utah mountains and just soak it in. Just let it marinate, you know? But with that in mind, what was your week like?
My week has been nothing short of remarkable. And there's 7 reasons why. And each reason ends in why. You see what I'm saying here? So let's start on Monday. That word ends with why, I believe. Monday, I prepared for Tuesday. In the evening, there was adult summer league basketball.
G League, if you will.
G League of Gainesville League, yes. And I had the opportunity to take photographs and videographs of that. So that's what I did on Monday night. Monday, of course, is work. Beautiful, beautiful work. Tuesday, then I studied for a lesson on Monday. That leads me to Tuesday. Tuesday is life group day. Tuesday is also a group with other gentlemen that met before at Chick-fil-A. And you and I have shared many memories in the parking lot of Target, which is across from Chick-fil-A. But we gathered. We talked about life. You got to get a group of gentlemen in your life if you're a man. If you're a woman, get a group of women in your life. That you can just bounce ideas back and forth. You can strive toward getting better. But yeah, I would recommend it for all of our listeners if you don't have it. And if you struggle to find it, then reach out to us. We'd love to help you. Or maybe that is something we can be to you and for each other. Then we studied Malachi 2, verses 1 through 9 at Life Group. In that Life Group, it just continues to grow spiritually and in number. And I know that is only accomplished through the work of the Lord. Right? We are just willing vessels that get to teach the Word of God. And again, it's bouncing ideas. One of the key things in a Bible study is I don't necessarily believe that someone is the leader of a Bible study. I believe each person in that Bible study is leading in some capacity. And so we all have a responsibility to respond in some way. There may be a person who did more studying before, but to be quite frank, if I'm working through the text orally, meaning I am orating the lesson, there is very likely someone else in that group who could have done more studying than I did. That's just the reality and the beauty of it. There's no barrier between the Bible and the person. Right? There are some religions where only you can't read the Bible for yourself. Only the priest can read it. And that's just not what Jesus teaches. And so what an opportunity we get to gather together and study the Word of the Lord. Wednesday, We roll in. I think, if I recall correctly, Wednesday is a relatively chill day, and that takes us to Thursday, because Thursday is my 7 a.m. meeting with the great John Park over at the Bakery Mill, where we delight in a meal and fellowship with one another, and again, bounce ideas off of one another to make each of us better and to inspire the people we lead. How beautiful is that? Thursday evening, after work, I brought this up last week that I needed you to hold me accountable to go to the run club on Thursday. Well, here's the problem. I've been feeling a little bit of knee pain. Ever since we went to the beach. It could have been when we ran away from the fireworks. I could have gotten a little excited and maybe hurt something. But the adrenaline was so shot up in my loins that I couldn't find any pain. And so I'm testing out my knee before the run club, because how embarrassing would it be if I showed up to the run club for the first time and couldn't complete the run?
Or just couldn't run at all. You get like 10 steps, you're like, oh, my knee.
You just start and you can't move. So here's what I did. I had a plan in place. I was going to go walk before the run club just to test it out.
Loosen up a little bit.
Loosen up, get loose. And usually, we've talked about this, I walk a 6-mile loop. So I'm pretty used to the longer, but I was on a crunch for time, so I decided to just walk the first leg of that and then walk back. It adds up to 3 miles. Or maybe a little over, maybe a little under. It doesn't matter, because when I got down to turn around, my knee was great. And then I started the journey back, 1.5 miles back. Knee starts to feel the pain. And knee starts to hurt pretty bad around 1 mile left. But I could still walk. I had a slight limp, but it was kind of when you get in a progression of movement, your body kind of naturally moves forward. So I was surviving off of that, quite literally. Mm-hmm. Well, then you go uphill.
There's some serious hills on that first stretch.
Correct. And uphill, it's not bad because the pressure is not on your knee. Pressure is more on your shin and then the back. Mm-hmm. Back of your legs. Well, what goes up, my friend, must come down. And when we went down, I mean shooting pains from the outside of my left knee down to my foot.
Oh.
Not good. Not good at all. And it was pretty bad, and I had a pretty bad limp, but I was still moving. And I couldn't tell if I was just a wuss or if I was in actual pain. But as I was reflecting, it was probably the worst pain I felt in my life. And to be quite frank, I've lived a pretty solid, safe life. So I haven't felt a ton of pain in my life, thank the Lord. Not to say that pain is bad. I think pain grows us immensely. But physical ailment is never fun. And so as I was walking back, you have to cross the road. And it's a busy road, there's no doubt about it. And it's a wide road. It's a pretty main road. Lots of semi-trucks. And I tell you, the crosswalk was too far. I knew I could not make it to the crosswalk, then cross, and then walk back up, and then back. So I had to cross the road where my apartment was. And to cross the road, you first have to stop and look both ways. And as we've discussed previously, what was helping me was that continuous motion of pushing, and it's just natural. Well, when you stop, you are no longer continuously moving. And when you take your first step again, I almost crumbled on 39th Avenue. It was pretty unbelievable. All right. So I'm dragging my left leg now at this point. I'm basically hobbling, and I get in the median to wait for the other side of the road. And it was a spectacle. I mean, by the time I crossed the other side of the road, a car could see me. I had enough time to cross, but a car could see me, and the car literally slowed down and was like, "Sir, are you okay?"
They asked you?
Oh, yeah.
That's
it was
amazing.
Not good. Yeah. But luckily, I was about 50 feet from my apartment. But that 50 feet, you have to climb a set of stairs. Mm-hmm. That 50 feet probably took me 5 minutes because I don't know how to describe it, man. It's like, I guess I can't describe it. And so that is why I scheduled an appointment with the Orthopedic Institute to get some imaging done on my left knee.
Wow.
And it's not fun because, my routines on Fridays and Saturdays is a lot of outdoor pickleballing, or at least some type of physical movement. And I can't chance it. I don't want to, because a momentary pleasure is not worth a length of pain.
Yeah, I think the image that comes to my mind, have you ever seen the movie 300?
I haven't seen it through, but that is the guy who it's Roman, I believe. Chariots?
Sparta. Yeah.
Sparta.
King Leonidas. Basically, there's this guy who has, I'm assuming it's some sort of birth defect, but his back is super hunched over and one of his legs doesn't work and he just kind of drags it behind him. That's kind of the imagery that I got there as you kind of made your way across 39th Avenue. But it's pretty crazy. I mean, maybe not crazy. It's cool that somebody slowed down and asked if you're okay. Yeah, I'm wondering kind of what was going through their mind. Did they think maybe you got hit by a car? Did you get attacked by a raccoon, coming out of the woods or something like that? That would have been a cooler story than just, knee pain. But, yeah, that's kind of wild. And I'm sorry for your loss. But it seems like you've really been in a lot of doctors' offices lately.
I've been spending a good amount of time with doctors. And, doctors are critical in this world. They tell you what's wrong. They are physicians. They help to heal your body. But in order to heal your body, you have to do some work as well. And so I can't help but think, as I was limping on the side of the road with no blood, with no discoloration in my body, and just in a workout outfit, people were thinking, what is this dude thinking? I mean, he seriously has a problem. Why is he walking?
Right.
And maybe I'm reading into that. Maybe I'm a little too worried about what people think about me. And that's not really a maybe. I know I am a little too worried about what people think about me. But I will say the rest of the knee helps. I clearly overworked it because I walked 1.5 miles on a pain-filled knee. I would not recommend doing that. But I am excited for this appointment to learn more about what is wrong with my body. Because I don't know about you, but things that are wrong with my body, I would like to know about. Just period, point, and blank. Friday rolls around. Yeah. And I shared with my brother Jackson. I said, I almost called him, honestly. I said, are you at the apartment right now? Because I could really use a car ride. But I decided to persevere. But I told him I was so delusional of pain that I thought about ordering a pizza and having it delivered. And if you know anything about me, that is one of the last things I would do in my life. Why would you Why would you order delivery when you can go pick it up for about $10 cheaper? Maybe I don't have that much expendable cash, but that's just my thinking and has been for quite some time. So if Friday rolls around, I'm resting on my couch with my leg propped up, and my body still yearns for a slice of pie. And so I rise from the couch. I
like
go
Lazarus.
to I rise up like Lazarus. I had to go into the church to do some work. And at that point, I knew tonight we get pizza. Tonight we do it. And so as I was leaving the office, I call Pizza Hut. I say, "Madam, I need 2 of your $7 lover meals." Lover pizzas. I believe they do call it the $7 lover meal deal. I'm dead serious. And I need 2 of those medium pizzas.
I'm assuming it's a meat lover?
I have no idea. No idea. But I will tell you that no, it's 1 topping, so it's not a meat lover. They just call it the $7 lover deal or something. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But I told them I need bacon and I need Peps. Please. And I rolled up. They had it fully prepared. I text Jackson. I said, "My boy, I've got his pizzas. Tonight's the night." And we each had a pizza. And it was absolutely incredible. It was everything I desired and more.
You're like, and we were lovers.
Yeah. Pause. But that was Friday. Saturday rolls around. Saturday, Connor Coleman and I gathered together with his bride, Hannah Coleman. Praise God for them both. We went to Tex-Mex Chewy's Creamy Jalapeno and small chicken tortilla soup as it comes. Hannah got the churro bites. Again, that was great. Well, Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday, since I haven't been able to be outside and do lateral and longitudinal movements, if you will, I've been at the pool reading a book. Unreasonable Hospitality. Great book. Great book. Well, Sunday rolls around, as I've shared, and we spoke about Lazarus before. Well, what text are we in, my friend? John 11, the story of Lazarus.
Wow.
And we see Jesus being the ultimate resurrection and life, and the life. There is no other way to resurrection and life than through Jesus. And Lazarus is a picture of our spiritually dead bodies being risen up, being made whole, being made new, being made alive. I think when we look at sin in life, think about that as shame or guilt that you may feel, or think about that as anything that's not honoring to God, that is sinful. Again, why can a good thing be bad is because we make it a God thing. We make it an idol. Jesus is the only way to life. But that sin that we commit before Jesus and before knowing Jesus as Lord and Savior is what makes us dead. And we, because of Adam, if we believe in Adam and Eve in the garden, we are born of Adam, meaning we are born broken. We are born in need of a Savior. And so we see that picture all throughout Scripture, but we see the resurrection and the life fleshed out through the story in John 11. So, afternoon rolls around. The college ministry of Westside Baptist Church has a monthly service, so I got to play in that because our good friend Evan Haynes was preaching that night. So, I got to lead some songs and then hear Evan preach, and it was just a great night. And I will tell you, hanging out with that squad gives me energy, and I don't really find myself an extrovert thinking, extroversion, being around people gives you energy, but I do find that to be a fact in that circumstance. And I praise the Lord for that fact, because those people are excellent, and I'm blessed and honored to get to be a part of that. And so that was my week. That was my 7 days, and that was my 7 reasons why it was so great, that end in Y. How about you?
Wow. It sounds like a heck of a week, honestly. From the knee injury, I mean, you really turned lemons into lemonade with the knee injury, but you're out there, you're getting darker, I can tell. Your shirt is solid white or cream. I can tell you're a little bit darker than that. So you're getting there. You're spending some time out in the sun. I can see it, and it's working slowly but surely.
Me being darker than white and cream is a first in my life. I'm usually whiter than white and cream.
Well, I mean, you said it. I didn't say it. But Casper, the ghost, comes to mind. But look, you're getting dark.
No,
you're looking a little Italian, honestly.
I did not say Casper. You put that on me. And that hurt my feelings.
Oh. Well, Casper, no more. You're looking dark. So, yeah, we're going to have to start. No, I'm not going to say that. No.
It's all that pizza, man. It's all that pizza. You get a taste of Italy in your body, and you start yearning for more Italy.
You get that hot dog red skin.
Yeah.
Like you're from New Jersey.
Like that of leather.
That's right. That's right. I'll say my week was, the week itself was pretty typical. I did start watching a show, The Peaky Blinders. That one is, probably not one to watch with the kiddos. It's about a gang in like the 1920s in Birmingham, England, not Birmingham, Alabama. But yeah, it's really good. It's super, it's kind of addicting almost. You just want to watch the next show, And so that resulted in me going to sleep a lot later than I typically would during the week. And I just got a lot less sleep this week than I typically would. So that was a little unfortunate, but I mean, here we are on the weekend. I was able to catch up on my sleep, right? So it was worth it overall. Definitely worth it. Friday at work, my superintendent had to join some sort of event that my company put on. So I had to go out to the job site and kind of stand in as a superintendent for the day. But it was pretty easy. Just hung out. They were just pushing dirt around. So wasn't too much for me to do outside of my normal duties. So I will say Friday night, we had our friends Britt and Drew over for dinner. They're from Massachusetts originally. No, Britt is from Massachusetts. Drew is from Bradenton. He works in a hospital, and so every time we get together, I love to just pick his brain because he works in ICU, so he's got just the craziest stories. And it's always fun to just kind of sit down and just be like, what do you got for me this time? Because and he's a great storyteller, so it's just every single time we sit down, it's hilarious. I mean, some of the stuff is sad, but most of it is just really funny because it's just the way he tells it is funny stuff. But
do you think we could ask Drew to send in a story that we could share with our listeners?
We might be able to. Honestly, I can reach out to him and see. We could even have him on the podcast. If that's an option. Yeah. But yeah, I'll see if he's willing to send in like an audio recording or a video or something like that telling a story. He'll probably have to be generic about the identity due to, HIPAA laws and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, he has a lot of women that hit on him, like older women, like their husband is in the hospital in rough shape. And the whole time they're just like just hitting on him. He's like, "What is wrong with you?"
That is not good. Not good at all.
But it's kind of, I mean, it's pretty hilarious at the same time. Let's see. Saturday, what did we do during the day? Oh, Saturday morning, I had to take my truck in. I went and got an oil change because we're going to be driving up north to the Great White North next weekend. So I wanted to make sure that I can make the trip without any car troubles. So got the old rotate and balance, got the oil changed, the works. Saturday was kind of a rainy day. We were going to go out and do some fun stuff, but it was just rainy. This whole weekend was a rainy time. So didn't have a chance to go to the pool or go for a walk or anything like that. But we did kind of arrange a little dinner hangout with Andy and Karina, who, we've talked about previously on the podcast. And you kind of shared Andy's full first name. I wasn't sure, if he was comfortable with you telling everybody, what his true first name was, but I talked to him about it because he listened to the episode and he said, maybe ask me next time. He was a little hurt by it, but, we made up, and, it is what it is. It's in the past, it's water under the bridge.
I mean, if you'll allow me a moment to share, I mean, I would love to say something to him right now.
Yeah. I mean, if you'd like to apologize or something, that'd probably be for the best.
I just need to collect my thoughts. All right, Andrigo, I am so sorry for saying your real name on the podcast. I won't do it again. Please forgive me. All right, onward.
That was pretty heartfelt. I like that. For dinner, Saturday night, Karina cooked this. It's like coconut rice, which is basically rice, and I think she just put coconut milk in it. Made it real creamy. It was so good, dude. And then
you're gonna say it doesn't take much. It's probably pretty easy. The recipe's nothing.
She was slaving away in the kitchen the whole time we were there. But the rice portion of it, I think that's how the rice was done based on my observations. The chicken, I don't know when it went into the chicken. It was in a slow cooker, crock pot type situation, but supposedly it's Hawaiian chicken. There's a lot of Polynesian and Asian flavors involved with it. But essentially, you take the chicken from all the stock, what's left behind.
You've been hanging out with them too long.
Been hanging out with the Bostonians a little too much. That's right. But basically, you get the rice. We had some asparagus on the side, and then you get that jus, which is what they call it on the show. You get that jus and you kind of drizzle it over the top. You ladle it. And let me tell you what, dude, I went and got seconds. And not just like, oh, let me get a little bit of rice. Let me get another, half a piece of chicken and some jus. I was like, no, I'm going for the same portions that I got the first time around because it was so good, dude. So good. Stetson, him and their dog Brady, he's a golden retriever, and he's just such a happy fella, but he gets very excited. And Stetson loves to watch from a distance, but whenever they get close together, I just don't think it works out. You know what I mean? So Stetson likes it when I hold him, when we look at the dog and he can point and say dog. But once he gets close to the dog, he immediately regrets it. So, but kind of the arrangement that we had made was like, hey, look, Stetson's got to go to bed at like 7:15. So we'll eat dinner at your place. They live like 90 seconds down the road. They were planning on baking cookies for dessert. I was like, look, bake your cookies. We'll go bathe Stetson, put him in bed. And then in like 15 minutes, come over with the cookies and we'll just hang out. So just did the little house swap,
The dilly dally.
the little dilly dally. We're there, then we're here. Y'all are there, and then here. So yeah, so we hung out the rest of the night, and it was a blast. Just shooting the breeze with them. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Trump. Obviously that whole deal happened like pretty much as soon as they came over. So there was some discussions about that. But yeah, it was a fun time. That was a blast. No pun intended. Sorry, that was bad. I couldn't help myself. That was not good. And then Sunday this morning was church. We had regular service, and we went to Sunday school afterwards. I'm moving past it. I'm not even gonna entertain it.
I am, because I just love how you ended that and said, yeah, so Sunday we had church.
Just trying to move on, that's all. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, so the sermon this morning was on like spiritual gifts, and he was going through and he was talking about like our church body in particular, and he was like, we have a very like culturally diverse church body, which when you look at it, you're like, that's, there's a lot of white people. But he started naming off, like Japanese, Chinese, Korean. He goes down the list. We got Cubans. We got Guatemalans, which is Andy's country of origin. And so I look over across the sanctuary, and Andy's like, he's got the Guatemala flag. He pulls it out from his backpack. He's like he's at a UFC fight. He's like, yeah. It's like, okay, dude. He was ready for it.
What did the pastor do?
What do you mean? Who did he cheer for?
No. When Andy pulled out the flag during the sermon, what did the pastor say?
Oh, he just acknowledged him. He's like, we love our Guatemalans, more or less.
That's amazing.
No, not really. But essentially he was talking about, different people have different spiritual gifts as far as like serving within the church. We didn't talk about speaking in tongues as a spiritual gift, so I thought that was interesting. I was like, it is what it is. We don't have enough time to really kind of delve into that. But I kind of jokingly leaned over to Molly and I was like, one was like hospitality, leadership, organizational, all that type stuff. And then I jokingly leaned over. I was like, what about speaking in tongues? Isn't that a gift? And also, how does that help people type deal? That's not for me to say. So she got a chuckle out of it. And that's, we kind of left it at that. But yeah, no, it was a really good sermon. And then we went to Sunday school after that, and had a blast. I'm trying to think what we did. And again, it was just rainy kind of the rest of the day. So we hung out inside, watched TV. It's pretty laid back. So overall, it was a good week. I feel like from a work perspective, it was very typical. But the weekend activities were super fun. So, it always makes up for it.
I mean, that sounds like an absolute blast of a week. And the time with, the two couples, Friday and Saturday, that's a lot of fun, man. Get to hang out with them.
It is. And I feel like we have found that when we have people coming over, we'll actually keep the house clean. When there's no expectation that anyone's going to come over, it's a total pigsty. So when we're like, hey, we got to invite somebody over for the weekend, because if we don't, the house is going to be a mess. So it kind of forces our hand to clean the house. And I like that about it. And also, I love spending time with these people as well, obviously. But the main driver, driver is making sure the house is clean. So,
hey, Andy, can you come over so we can clean our house, please?
dude, I've been telling Molly she's got to clean the house. Can you just say you're going to come over or something? You don't even have to. You just say you're going to.
Yeah, I'm sure you just saying that right now just really helps your marriage.
Oh, yeah. It does. It strengthens us every day.
Hey, praise God. Ladies and gentlemen, there's really only time for 3 more things. One of them's going to be the song of the week. 4 more things. One of them's going to be the song of the week. One of them's going to be closing thoughts. The other 2 is one of them you're going to need to answer. We posted on our social media a clip about jellyfish, and Brett got absolutely put on trial for saying anecdote versus antidote. So you're going to share about that, but I wanted to take a moment, my friends, to speak on the topic of former President Trump, the Pennsylvania rally, or the Michigan rally, I forget which one.
Pennsylvania
rally in which a person was shot, another person was killed, and then former President Trump was shot in the ear. I think we all know this, but it's a good reminder. What's the point? There are some sick and twisted men and women in this world, and this sick and twisted man made a horrendous decision. Now, we don't know the motives behind the decision, but to be quite frank, the motives should be secondary in what we should be thinking. Is who are we to think we get to judge the life of another in terms of death and life? Think about that rhetorical question. Secondly, I think a tragedy like this, albeit terrible circumstances, it unifies people to a certain extent. Now, of course, you have a minority who are not unified, but that's true in everything. But I think the majority of people agree that political violence because you're of a different political party, is just absolutely heinous. It's ridiculous. It's childish. It is adulterated. And ladies and gentlemen, we have got to unify. Sometimes I become speechless. And this is kind of one of those moments, is why would that happen?
Are you asking me?
If you would like to answer, you can. But you don't have to. I was about to say something else.
Oh, sorry. I just think there's some crazy people out there that take some things way too far. And obviously this is a way too far instance. But like you said, I'm hopeful that it's a unifying moment where people can say, look, I may disagree with you politically about everything, but we can come to some sort of common ground and say that obviously we shouldn't try to shoot someone that we politically disagree with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
At the very least.
It is a general moral thought, whether you have a moral compass or not. And to an extent, everybody does. It just depends on what that compass points you in. That shooting someone because they disagree with you is not good. I would go as far to say as shooting a civilian, an unarmed civilian, is not good. But I will say, and this is where unity comes into play, my friend. We've got to create a nation in a world where life can flourish. And to create a world in which life can flourish, you have to create a nation in which life can flourish. And to create a nation in which life can flourish, you have to create a people, a person in which life can flourish. And so, life did not flourish yesterday. And life doesn't flourish all the time. But if we aren't working to create life that flourishes in another person or through yourself, then we're missing the mark. Right? This takes me back to Disney. Is they are searching for something that'll fulfill and satisfy them, but they're not finding it. And in order to create a nation and world where life can flourish, you have to find the fulfillment behind the flourishing. And I'm not going to reveal that answer to you because it looks different for different people, though I have my own beliefs that I believe that a flourishing life is one dedicated and sold out for the purposes of God's glory. But the ways in which God's glory are revealed to a person are different. And so you talked about spiritual gifts. Each person has a different spiritual gift that they can implement to work for the Lord and to work toward people in order to glorify God, to create a place where life can flourish. And that, my friends, is unity. And we've got to have more of it. And we've got to work toward it. We can't just say it. We've got to work. And we have the opportunity to do something. Will we do it? That's the question. Will you do it? And those are my thoughts. If you would mind sharing now about the anecdote.
Yeah, shifting gears a little bit. Obviously, as a podcast, we have social media. One of the platforms that we get the most engagement on is TikTok. Some folks call it the talk. If you're, Gen Z like myself, I call it the talk. But we posted a silly video of me saying, look, everyone knows that the only, I said anecdote, which is, the definition of an anecdote is a personal story or something that happened to you that you witnessed. I meant to say antidote, which is, some sort of healing elixir from a poison or sting or something like that. And, I said the only anecdote for a sea jelly sting is for another man or, maybe a woman to urinate on the sting. And some people came back and said, no, you're totally misinformed. I was like, okay, this person probably lives in Michigan. They've probably seen one jellyfish their whole life. So I totally disregarded that. But there were several other comments that said, it's antidote, not anecdote, you bleep. And I was dragged. I was absolutely dragged through the mud. My name was sullied for mixing up anecdote and antidote. They're basically homophones. Sue me, That's pretty incomprehensible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you say that 30 times every single podcast. No one gives a rip. I say anecdote once instead of antidote. the internet shuts down because Brett used the wrong word. So, but there were some others that were like, WTF is an anecdote. And I'm like, okay, if you think anecdote just isn't a word at all, then hate to break it to you, So a lot of the comments were from people who were ill-informed, probably undereducated on jellies. I've spent a lot of time with jellies. I've body surfed and ended up with jellies in my drawers, and it's not a fun time. That's a legitimate story that's happened to me once or twice.
And you know how to kill the jelly. That's in your drawers.
I wasn't going to go there, but
you've got to have another man urinate in your drawers.
That's right. So yeah, it was, TikTok was set ablaze by, the freaking grammar police, the vocabulary police. They threw me in jail, locked it up, and threw away the key, stuffed me and cuffed me, whatever idiom you want to use. But
it's cuffing season.
It is cuffing season. But yeah, that was essentially it. And so it was hard for me not to fight back with these people, I wanted to get on there and be like, no, you're the idiot. Anecdote is a word. But, when Hillary Clinton famously said, when they go low, we go high. And so that's what I did. I took old Hillary's words and I ran with it. They went low and I went high,
One could say you ran up the hill.
Bum knee and all. I ran up the hill.
And cyberbullying is not funny. And you got cyberbullied. And that's not okay.
First time.
It's time we take a stand. I mean, you are a man of great importance, but you're also a man that stays away from the internet so he can avoid being cyberbullied. And the one time you slip up, the people are after you. And I can understand where you're coming from. It's hard not to play the victim, right? You preserved your grammar from the internet for so long, yet at one point in your life, you said the wrong word, and now you're being bullied because of it. And I don't want you to think that's on you. I would actually push that on your teachers.
Oh, wow. I'll say this. I have no social media whatsoever. I am, there's a joint account with me and Bo, and that is, so I am half involved in one platform on social media, and I got cyberbullied. I'm like, I don't know how people do this. People that have like every single different kind of social media, I'm like, how do they survive? Everyone's just being terrible to each other. So with that being said, I'm going to probably lay low a little bit. I'm going to be on the lam as far as social media goes. But whenever I come back, I will have my retribution. We'll say that.
I can't wait. And for the purposes of growing this channel, I hope you come back this week.
Oh, well, what is your song of the week?
My song of the week is called, I have it here. It's going to be called Holy Ghost Fire by Paul Cauthen. Cauthen. It's kind of like a ruggedy sounding. Yeah.
I got the Holy Ghost fire down in me. I know that one. I've heard it.
Yeah. It's a thick. That's how I describe the sound. It's thick and strong, like the Holy Ghost. And I really enjoyed it. That's my song of the week. How about you?
My song of the week is Welcome to Earth, Pollywog by Sturgill Simpson. makes me think of Stetson. It's a song that he wrote for his firstborn, which is his son. Something I listened to a lot whenever Stetson was first born. But Sturgill just came out with a new album, and I frankly have not had a chance to listen to it. But with that in mind, I was kind of listening to some of his other stuff, and I was reminded of this song. So we're going to add these to the collection, and you guys can check them out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, well, any closing thoughts for our listeners?
No closing thoughts. I think really, we'd love for you guys to buy merch. We'd love for you to leave a comment, leave a voicemail. The voicemail feature has been open for many, many months. No one's ever used it. So even if you're just trying to be a troll, if you want to say something just so wacky that it won't even be entertained. If you want to ask about some sort of conspiracy, me and Andy, we were talking about Bohemian Grove last night for a bit. I would love to go down that road. But look, leave a voice message. We'd love to engage with you in that way. And also if you see us on social media or anything like that, hit us up, leave a comment, say nice things, say bad things, doesn't matter. It drives up that engagement, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, agreed. And I'll also share, our listeners may have thought it was funny, some of our subscribers specifically, because as soon as we hit our threshold of breaking even, 2 of our subscribers dropped. It's breaking news. But I was looking at that the other day, and I was like, that's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. And so if that is you, you need to tell us how we can rekindle that flame, because we need you, and we need you bad. And we need you so bad that we are creating a fresh subscriber only episode, and we're going to aim to do subscriber only episodes twice a month. I think that's a fair number. But I will tell you, we want more subscribers, and we want more reviews. We want more sales on merch, and we want more engagement on our social media. We want more people. We're just like Disney World, except this would actually fulfill us. Just kidding. Only the Lord fulfills us. And that's why we love you deeply and generously, and we're going to see you in 7 days.